We're live. Hello, everybody. I know this is a surprise. This is such an impromptu live. Every Saturday morning, I always go live on Apple Podcast, on YouTube, on my pages, on Instagram, everywhere. But this is so valuable that yesterday, in the middle of a conversation about mindset and energy, I was like, we got to tell this to the whole world. And my friend Sarah Lovely, who's in Canada, my husband is there today opening a warehouse in Canada. We love our Canadian friends. Sarah and I have known each other a little over a year. She has over a decade of coaching and training Bob Proctor series. Like, this woman works harder on herself than pretty much anybody I know. She's just a couple years older than me, and she looks younger than me. She's in the gym. She's on a walk. She's feeding her mind. She's feeding her body. Like, she's a machine. And yesterday, we were just having a conversation about life. I don't know. We're headed to Mexico together to my daughter Callie's wedding, and both of us have children that we love more than life. Both of us have had addiction in our family and with children, a lot of mental health. We just have a ton in common. But I want you guys to meet my friend Sarah today, because if you're having a bad day, any day, in any way, you can change it just like that. Like, it is a decision. And what Sarah did for me yesterday in like 2 minutes, I mean, people would pay thousands of dollars to be coached on this. And it's really the secret to you being happy, to you getting the things that you want. I don't think most people realize how powerful their thoughts are, and not just their thoughts, but then when they put it in words. And Sarah, I have watched you manifest, I mean, 70, 80,000 in volume in your business in a matter of days. I've watched you manifest so many things. And when I watch you, I'm never really, nothing you ever do ceases to amaze me, because you first think it, then you put it out there, and then you just make it happen. But there's not very many people, Sarah, that I know that have had as much adversity and challenge as you, and they just make it a great day every single day. So share with our viewers, like, how do you do what you do to just be happy in any circumstance?
I love you, Barb. Thank you for having me. This is so fun. I'm really excited to be here. And oh my gosh, what an introduction that was. And I'm going to add on, I'm going to backtrack a tiny bit for those of you who don't know me. And I mean, number one, like Barb said, I've had so much adversity. And it did not, and still does not always come naturally for me to focus on the positive and get in the right headspace and raise my vibe and raise my frequency and take a deep breath or journal it out or think before I speak. That certainly was not who I was before, like 10 years ago, 9 years ago. And I'm a work in progress like everybody else. And it's still not my nature to go straight there. But what I've been able to do, not by myself, with mentors like, all of the greats like Bob Proctor. And actually, one of the reasons I was first attracted to you, Barb, was because I heard you here on your Facebook going live talking about this stuff. And I could hear a human who not only talked the talk, but walked the walk as well. Like, it takes one to know one. And I could hear that right away, that you weren't just paying lip service to this lifestyle, but that you were actually picking up the shovel and moving the mountain for yourself. And I could tell that you'd actually been doing it a lot longer than I had.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
So I was just like in love, attracted to you right away for that. But I promise you guys, those that are watching, is that it has been the hardest work I've ever done in my whole life by far, is learning how to choose my thoughts, to decide to choose my thoughts. Sounds simple, right? It's not. It's the hardest work any human will do, really. If you listen to Bob Proctor, that's what he says, because we're not even aware of our thoughts. So I've had this very beautiful, painful, glorious, disastrous, exciting, the killer journey to where I am today. And I know there's more of all of that to come along the way, because for me, I'll never stop. I'll never stop doing this. And this most recent thing that I'm excited about, I'm going to give my husband, Robin Young, credit, because he saw me a little bit stuck recently again. And I didn't really see it. So that's annoying when your husband sees it, but you don't see it. It's always annoying. And
He's
he said,
amazing, though.
"Are you open to reading a new book, Sarah?" And I said, "Of course. Yes." Like, that's one thing, if I can say anything to people, is be open to taking a look at what people who have what you want in life, whether that's the material world, the bank account, or a light in their eyes. Barb has a light in her eyes. There's a light shining bright, and I like that light, and I want that light. What did you do to get? So listen to the people who make suggestions. And I trust my husband. He's amazing, and he's on this journey. He's just a lot more quiet about it than I am. And so I started reading this book, and I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you guys, a little bit of the viewers. I've shared this onto my wall too, is that, when Barb says all those wonderful things about me, it's never a straight line or a smooth ride. Not for me anyway.
Well, and Sarah, when I first met you, you and I bonded over conversations with our kids and addiction and codependency, and you had struggled with it. Like, you really taught me so much about the emotions that we attach to something that really is happening in our life, but then the way that our imagination can just like go down a rabbit hole so fast. And in my business, like, honestly, success is about 99% mental and 1% sweat equity. Most people cannot do the mental. The mental is what kills most people. And how do you take a situation that maybe it's not a good situation and turn it around to control the mental game so you don't sabotage everything good that's happening to you?
Okay. I love this question. And that has been the basis of the work I've done for the last 10 years. And I've just done that with all these different tools. So there's so many different ways to get to the same end result. And so what's working for me right now, and I'm excited about, and this is what Robin introduced me to. I was on an airplane and I got this book and I downloaded the audio and I just started listening, and I could feel it right away that it was a piece of the puzzle, another piece of the puzzle that I was missing. And so one of the things I already knew, but this is just like a little bit different. This has one little element to it that's new for me. So first of all, we absolutely know for sure that thoughts are things, that our thoughts become things, that thoughts create a feeling in our body dictates the actions that we take, and the actions that we take will produce, no matter what, the results in our material world. It starts with a thought, feeling, action, results. If you want to know what you're thinking, take a look at what your results are in every area of your life, and there is no doubt about it. That's what you're thinking. So if you don't like something, then that means you're thinking thoughts that aren't truth about that thing. This is such a magical piece, and I love this so much. And this I've been practicing for, I'd say, 2 years, really solid. If I'm worried, doubt, fear, anxiety, resentment, shame, remorse, guilt, anger, I mean, the list goes on of those kinds of low vibration feelings. If that's how I'm feeling, those feelings are not actually truth. Even if the bank account looks like it's truth, it's not truth, because your birthright is abundance.
Yeah.
God, source, universe, higher self, whatever you want to say, wants all that is good for you, wants all that you want and more. So if we're living in any of those low vibrations, it isn't truth, but your mind is a goal achieving machine, and it's just going to do its job, and it's going to get you the goal, and it's going to get its direction from what you are thinking and feeling. And so if you're thinking and feeling worry, doubt, shame, fear, anger, all those things, your brain is going to do its job, latch onto those, and go make that happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that insane? That is a fact. That's in fact, all the super smart people in the world can prove this by science. This is not woo-woo. It's not just an opinion, mine and Barb's and other. It's fact. And so then that means that we want to stay out of those vibrations, right? As much as we can. That's the hard work. So this new thing that I've been doing, and a part of it is new and part of it isn't, is I notice my feeling right away. Notice my thought right away, and then ask myself, does that thought feel good? So let's say, for example, I have a thought that says, my business isn't going where I want it to go. I hear that thought and I ask myself this question, does that thought feel good? And the answer's no. That means it's one of these down here. That means if I don't change it fast, my sweet little brain gonna go make that happen for me. That's what's going to happen, because my brain's just going to do what I tell it to do, because it's a servant leader. It's going to do what I tell it to do. It's serving me. It's not judging me. It's just serving me. So does that thought feel good? No. Then let's choose a different thought. The opposite. How about? My business is doing amazing and I'm reaching every goal that I want, left and right, serving so many people, having high impact, top of the company. Does that thought feel better? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter that it's not true in this exact moment right now. It feels better, which means it's truth. And it also means that my sweet little brain and mind going to go make that happen for me. So now here's the extra piece. That stuff isn't new for me. But here's the extra piece, you guys, that Barb and I were talking about the other day. That is why she said, let's go talk about this. Let's talk about this. And this is, again, thanks to Robin. How did he know? How did he know I needed that book? He's like, here, read a book. So here's the extra piece. So now that's a lot of people do that. Drop in the comments if you already were doing that piece I told you. But here's what cements it in. Now I've got a new thought that feels good. I'm doing amazing. Everything is coming to me beautifully, naturally, quickly, all that stuff. Now you find evidence to back that thought as truth. That's the harder part. So now you have to think, is that true? Where's the evidence in my life that I'm amazing, my business is going great, everything is always working out for me, I'm going all the way? Where is there evidence of that? And you just sit down with pen and paper or pause and think, is there any evidence of that? And I can tell you this, yes, there is. And there is always evidence, even if you have to ponder that for a day or two. Even the toughest, I just gave you an easy question. What about the toughest ones? What about when we think somebody's harmed us? What about the tough questions like children and addiction, like Barb and I have gone through, and so many of you as well? What about those? Yes, it applies to those as well. You can find evidence that your new feel-good thought is true. Has there ever been a time when I've crushed my business? Sure, there has been. You know what? If you're listening and you're like, well, there hasn't been for me, then borrow somebody else's. Has there ever been a time you've watched anybody else do what you want to do? If that's all you can do to find evidence that this new feel-good thought is true, then find the evidence and cement it in. That's my new piece that I'm so fired up about.
I love that, Sarah. So when Dave and I first got started in 1996, we'll just role play here. We were in a bankruptcy. Our car was repossessed. We were borrowing my mom's car. Chance was a baby. I wrote a check for formula. It bounced. The sheriff came to the door. All true. Mm-hmm. Had a ton of success, had made a lot of money, election year, economy went down, oil went to $7 a barrel. Nobody was coming to the salon. Nobody was paying for their daughter's dance lessons. Like, I was working so hard. I was exhausted. I was broke. I wanted to make money. I wanted to be successful. I wanted things to change. And you know, the evidence was I'm doing a ton of meetings. I'm trying to build my business. I'm inviting people, but my check went up. And then because I got so scared about the bounce check or the late bills or my utilities being turned off, then I was like, who am I to be doing a meeting about helping people make money when our name was just in the paper and we can't even pay for our baby formula? Like, this was true story. So my mentor said, I want you to start saying what you want instead of what you don't want. He said, every thought is a prayer. And so if I'm praying to the Lord, Lord, bless my business. I trust in you. I believe in you. I know the verse, you know, and yet I'm not walking by faith. I'm not believing that it's going to happen. And I go sit in the fear. Then no matter what someone believes, like either you have faith or you don't, the enemy is going to win and you're going to go down the rabbit hole. I might as well just quit. Look at me. I have egg on my face. I'm broke. You know, if I had followed the reality of what was happening, I would still be pathetic, penniless, cutting hair, bankrupt. But I did this exercise in 1996, and how it happened, I have no idea, Sarah. I was always a believer. I was always a big dreamer. I would outwork anyone, but my thoughts would sabotage every good thing. So, you know, even in the Bible, it says, as a man thinketh, so is he. A man without a vision will perish. Like, it says all the things, but people will look at this mind thing and they will be afraid of it, or they will be like, oh, that's woo woo. Every single thing that I write down and I say it and I believe it, it doesn't matter how crazy it is. Even moving into this home, we had horrible credit, no money down, a bankruptcy on our credit, small town, failure on our reputation. And yet within months, the dream home, 22 acres, a doctor built it and then decided to move out of state. Like, it was so crazy. And everything I prayed for, God already had it lined up. It was me that was always in the way. And so when Brooklyn was, you know, really struggling with addiction, and I live in a small town, everyone in my family, like, we saw her car, we saw this. Oh my goodness, do you know, like, there was so much evidence that she wasn't good. And yet I would go like in my closet and I would see her, like, I know that she is going to be healed. I know that it's all going to work out. She will live and not die. Like, I would do all these things. But Sarah, that work is the hard work. And you're so good at it. Most people, they'll be like, y'all are brainwashed. Like, you're crazy, but it works 100% of the time. And my faith is so strong. And my belief is so much conviction that this mindset piece is the reason why most people fail. Because, and also what happens, Sarah, then when you start to have success, but you still have that subconscious going, oh, you better be careful. Remember what happened last time. And then it all came crumbling down. I mean, I see people posting things that irritate me so much because they post to be careful of the exact thing that you don't want to happen. And it's just like, they're going to get what they're putting out. What we want wants us. What we put out there, we're going to get back.
Yeah. And it's not complicated, but it's not easy because we are so ingrained. Our thoughts are, and a lot of the time we're running on autopilot, not even aware of the thought. So how are we going to change something we're not even aware of? Awareness is the first step. And it's like I said, the mind is a goal achieving machine. It will focus on what you're thinking about, whatever that is, and then set out to put in motion that for that to happen for you. And one thing I want to say right here is that I've heard lots over the years about you can only hold, a negative thought if you hold it for, I don't know, 7 seconds or 3 seconds or 11 seconds or whatever it is, and it's in motion. And I want to tell you guys something that I've learned recently. And whether it's true or not, I'm not sure, but I like it. So I'm choosing to believe it. Your positive thoughts are way more powerful than your negative thoughts. Don't worry. Don't worry about how hard it is to break the cycle of thinking. Your positive thoughts are way more powerful. You know how I know that's true? Because it feels good when I say it. And when I say, oh, you hold a negative thought for 7 seconds, it's going to come true, or whatever it is, that doesn't feel good to me. So that's not true. Your positive thoughts are powerful. What we need to start doing is catching the thought, creating an opposite. So you heard Barb say all these things that were happening, right? Checks were bouncing, bankruptcy, gossip, people talking negative about. And she said, and I was working super hard and I don't know what happened, but it all changed. But Barb does know what happened. And I know what happened. There's only one thing that could have happened, because she was already doing all the hard work. Hard worker, born a hard worker. Okay, so she didn't have to work on the working hard part. Okay, some people have to also work on the working hard part. Some of y'all need to also get to work. You just can't sit there and be all great in here and do no work. You're co-creating with the universe. You got to get to work. Pick it up. Let's go. And so that was never Barb's issue, working hard. But she said, I kept thinking about, and I was worried about, so while she was worried about, that was when she was working hard, but things weren't happening anyway. And all of a sudden it changed. And there's only one thing that could have. It was her thinking. She aligned with right thinking. And maybe she went back. You can tell us, Barb, because I heard you say we'd had super big success before. So that's where you find a limiting belief. Oh my gosh, the whole world is gossiping about us. We got bankruptcy. We got this. We got kids doing that. We got bounce checks at the grocery store. I also remember the day when you could bounce checks at the grocery store. Can't do that anymore. You can at least get your groceries, even though you knew you were bouncing the check. You're writing the check and just
you have like 2 days. 2
just
days.
get the money in. But she was doing those things, and then all she had to do, and she did do, consciously or unconsciously, this works for everybody, is ask, does it feel good to be in this much worry and doubt? Nope, it doesn't. Okay, what's the opposite? We are going to be okay. Everything is going to work out for us. Money is going to come flowing in. All the kids are going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And then to find evidence of that new thought. And the evidence is we've been there before. We've been okay before. Yep, there's the evidence. And then that's cementing in the new thought. And then the brain is a goal achieving machine, and it's going to go and make that happen. This is really not complicated work, but the reason most of us don't do it or stick with it is because it's hard to do. It's the hardest thing you'll do, is learning to catch your thoughts and then making a decision. So there's a word that's really important, is making a decision to pick another thought and do the work. Every morning for 30 to 60 minutes, I work on my mindset, whatever it is. Right now, I'm dropping my limiting beliefs on paper like they're hot potatoes. I'm circling 3 of them. I'm asking, do these feel good? I'm saying, no, they don't. I'm writing out a better thought that feels good. And then I'm searching in my mind for evidence to prove my new thought. Then I'm writing down 20 things I'm grateful for. Then I'm visualizing for 3 minutes. Then I'm sitting and listening to myself attempt to breathe and meditate for 2 minutes. And then I'm done, and then I'm at work. But I would not go in here ever before I go in here and here. And it just sets your day up right. Whatever it is your morning routine is, just get one before you look in your phone, even if it's just 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Every morning when I wake up, I just leave my phone on the charger. And, I have this little book. It's a little book of prayers, right? So whether it's my business, whether it's someone that's sick, whether it's my children, like whatever, I start my day that way. And so I am surrendering it all. It's all going to work out perfectly. It's not me that's in control of it. And then I'm going to go say, who can I touch? Who can I reach? Who can I be a servant leader for? But Sarah, the bigger you get, the more success you have, the harder it is to dream, to believe, and to carry the weight of all of this energy, of all these people around you. You want so badly. I want so badly for everyone to be successful. And I watch them have all the talent, all the skills, all the opportunity, the right product, the right timing, the right spouse. They live in the right city. They even might have all the, they have all the checks, and they can't make it work no matter what. And then you can have somebody else that is down on their luck, no spouse that loves them, no money, live in a horrible location, but they get this, and like everything happens for them. And I recently read a book, which I sent to you this week, about self-sabotaging. And then you sent me a book with Robin. I was with Robin at a mansion all weekend in Texas. We had so much fun. And we missed you so much, Sarah. But we're going to Mexico.
Yeah, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Oh my gosh. But the book that you gave me was so similar to the one that I gave to the top leaders, because self-sabotage happens every single day based on things that aren't even real.
Not even true.
Your subconscious mind goes to work on it. I didn't even realize until, that time I was telling you about in 1996, that my subconscious mind was going to work on things even while I was sleeping. I didn't even know. So like now, even my son, he'll fall asleep listening to scripture while he's sleeping with his children, or we will lay down at night and literally like turn something on to get the right things in the subconscious while we sleep, so that we're getting what we want, not what we don't want. And you said something to me yesterday when we were talking about certain things that are happening in the world, right? So I will just tell you, and I don't want to talk about one that happened to me yesterday because it's in the news and it's politics, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I didn't even know what was happening, Sarah. I didn't even know what was happening. And all of a sudden there was this mongering, crazy fear about the upcoming wedding and the beautiful time that we're going to have, right? Or like, you live in Canada and we're building a business in Canada. And what about a month and a half ago when everybody was like, Canada's doomed. We're not going to be able to get products. The tariffs are going to ruin our business. You literally just ignore anything negative, Sarah. And you're like, that's not happening. That's not going to affect my business. It's how we choose to look at it. And you just amaze me. So if people are watching right now, Sarah, and they have something horrible happening in their life, I mean, you've been through it all: divorce, addiction, losing income, not having money, having love, not having love, living with someone bipolar, abusive, crazy, threatening, like you have been through a lot of things. And I know of the people watching, something's going to strike a chord with them. So let's say they have the worst thing happening in their life right now, and it really is happening. What's the first step? What do we do?
Yeah, well, such a powerful question. And I will preface it by saying, if this doesn't fit for you, then you don't have to take it, right? I'm not here to pretend that I have a quick fix for everybody. I know I've been thinking recently with my son's addiction. So he was severely addicted, alcohol, drugs, and chronically suicidal. He's 4.5 years clean, sober, and happy now. And so I always like to say that it's turned out by the grace of God. It's turned out in my mama's heart's favor. He's very, very happy. He just left the house here. He curled my hair for this show. So my kid is happy, happy enough to come curl his mama's hair for her. So, but I've been recently thinking back to that time, because it's what I'm talking about, what I do every single day. I asked myself, well, are you going to be able to do this if the rubber hits the road? Could you have done this when Jonathan was chained to a hospital bed and police were there and he was terrorizing his siblings in the neighborhood and his grandmother and all. It was just disastrous. Could you have applied this then? And the interesting thing is that I did without knowing it in a way. And so if you're struggling right now and if you're suffering, because all of this is suffering, it's just a matter of a scale of how big is the suffering. Even just a made up thought in my mind that my husband doesn't love me, or that people don't like me, or that my business is going down, or that I'm, too old for even just a thought that we have as humans, real or imagined, if it doesn't feel good, we are suffering. That is suffering. Just that alone, let alone all the real stuff that's actually literally in our current circumstances, literally happening. My son was literally committing suicide, attempting suicide. It was literally happening. This wasn't little imagined thoughts that so-and-so doesn't like me. So all things that don't feel good are suffering. And so if you are, whether it is something really big right now happening, like Barb said, or even if it's just the stories you tell yourself about your beautiful body, your beautiful soul, your ability to succeed, your kind heart, your intelligence, even if you're just walking around saying, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, that is suffering. Along with same way as a mother, I was suffering when my son was in the hospital. And so suffering is suffering is suffering. It will all keep us at a place where we don't want to be. So it's actually, and I just pray that this lands on the right ears, it's the exact same method that you would do if you were having a thought in your head about so-and-so doesn't like me, or if you've been evicted, you're bankrupt, and your kid is in the hospital. It's the same process. Does this thought, my son is, because I literally remember standing in the closet one day on a bad day. They were all bad days. And I was standing in the closet to get dressed, and I saw a black dress that I had hanging, and it triggered a thought that Jonathan's funeral was for sure going to happen. He wasn't going to make it. I guess I'll wear that dress. Geez, what will I say at the funeral? I started fantasizing about what I'd say at the funeral. Then I literally shook my head no and said, no, out loud, no, you can't go there. You can't think that. And I just forced myself to go down another path, a different thought. I was terrified. I have truth bumps on my whole body right now, because I remember I felt like the worst mom in the world because I was planning the funeral. And to tell you the truth, a small part of me was starting to think that maybe it would be better that way for him and for everybody. And then I felt like a triple terrible mother. It was a very dark place. But what I did was every day I detached with love. I told myself I knew it was not my journey, that it was his journey, that it was actually none of my business, that I had to just show up at the hospital. I had to show up at rehab. I had to show up at the police station. I had to cut him off. I had to kick him off. I had to call the police. I had to cut him off financially. I had to call the police again. I had to call the probation off. I had to do the dues. I had to love him, but leave him, all that stuff. And then I had to put myself in a better feeling place. And when I was in that better feeling place, I could actually be a sane, sensible mom for him and my other two kids, get some work done. Do you know that we were in a company at that time, and we had just joined that company when really the poop hit the fan. And we went to the top rank of the company in something like 4 months. Nobody knew. Well, that was all going on because I kind of found those better feeling thoughts as a safe place. And so I just instinctively knew, plus I was doing this work. But I can tell you, any moms watching or anyone relating to this at all, that I apply the same method when I'm making ish up in my head about what she said about me or what she's doing or what's not happening. Does that thought feel good? No, it doesn't. Then it must not be true. Let's pick the opposite thought. My son is fine. Everything's going to work out just fine. My other children aren't going to be damaged beyond repair. It's all going to be okay. You're not going to need to wear that dress. Does that thought feel better? Yes. Okay, let's find evidence to back it up. Well, he's still alive, so there's hope. Sometimes that's all there was.
Yeah. 100%. And Sarah, what's crazy? Dave actually got mad at me the one year in 2022. every day we would try to stack good thoughts, and we would start out with gratitude. And it was so bad. That year we buried his mom, and we were having a real struggle with Brooklyn, and we had walked away from millions of dollars in income to start over, not to know that we were going to have to put everything on hold because of all the adversity. But I remember I would literally say, nobody died today. And he would say, would you stop saying that, because someone did? Like, that was the only positive thing that I could think of. Like, kids were in separations and worrying about custody, just all kinds of stuff was going on. And then there's people who can be that upset about, like, someone quit my business and now my whole team's probably going to go join them. Or I can feel that this person that I'm in business with doesn't really want to be on my team or like me. Like, it's crazy how we can have a made up mind with stories that the other people feel the energy. And then we actually get every thought is a prayer. Every prayer is answered. We just don't know that. We don't know that until 30 years, 40 years of this. Gosh, I feel like I've been doing this personal development thing.
You have.
Forever.
You have.
But I did it when I was 14 and my dad walked out, and we didn't know where he was until my senior year. Then he came back, then he left again, changed his name. Like, I would watch my mom, my siblings, like, just suffering everywhere. And those dominating thoughts, even before I had all the personal development, you are beautiful, you are worthy, you will succeed, you will get through this, you can do this. Like, you've got to stack beliefs. Yeah. So, Sarah, with anybody in our industry of direct sales, because I know a lot of my audience is people that are in various companies. My sister's in real estate. My brothers are entrepreneur. I mean, everywhere I go, everywhere around me, there's people with an entrepreneurial spirit, right? But right now, we live in a world of gloom and doom, and people just want to share so much negative. So there's a lot of antitrust in our hearts, because we do have stacked beliefs. Don't trust anyone. Look at what happened. There's just so much of that. So if I want to live a life where I'm building a legacy, I have amazing people around me, it's going to be solid. It's not going to go away. I'll just be completely vulnerable and transparent here. A month ago, when I did the work that you're talking about, and I do it often, my coach said to me, and I actually have her coming on an MVP Zoom for our MVPs on July 2nd. But she said to me, Barb, what are your limiting beliefs? After I read her book, Sabotage No More, it's a Jenny Potter book. My limiting beliefs were, if I'm too successful, it will hurt other people. And my other one was, people will betray you. Now, Sarah, I have a lot of evidence that people will betray me. And up until then, I believed, don't trust anyone. People will betray you. And I would always get these women that I would help them, do anything for them, build them up, edify them. And they would turn around and screw me. They would literally try to stop anything good I was doing. And I would be like, what did I do? I thought we were friends. So now here's what I say. I don't attract those kind of women. Those kind of women are not around me. They won't be around me. Like, everyone around me can succeed, and we don't have to worry about, succeeding too much. We're all rising together. And when we were at an event this past weekend, Sarah, it was one of the very first times in my 30-year career that I wasn't worried about women, gossip, egos. Like, there's just none of it around me. And everyone is succeeding, and we all love each other. And it's just like, I've never felt like this. Do you think it was me that was creating that? Or hit me with it hard. Slap me around. Like, do you believe that I create that reality around me?
Yes. I mean, I really hardcore believe myself. I heard you say that a few weeks ago. You were talking about the book and what are your limiting beliefs. And I heard you share that. And I thought, what are mine? And I think I've dealt with, I'm like, this is a few weeks ago. I think I've dealt with mine. I've dealt with mine.
Yeah,
That's,
I don't have any.
I don't, interesting. That's interesting for Barb. I've dealt with mine. And you actually said to me on one phone conversation, I was having a bit of a struggle, and you said, well, yeah, but you got this. It's mindset. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good with the mindset. I got the mindset now. I need to work harder. I need to do more. And it's interesting. Do you remember me saying that to you? Can we laugh about that now?
Yes, we can laugh about it now.
Because it dropped in such a way, and it went, you're going to laugh about that sometime. And I'm like, no. And then I realized recently with this huge aha that I have many limiting beliefs, and that I've worked on many. Yes. So I do believe, to answer your question directly, instead of going off too much of a tangent, we could talk all day, I know, but
we could do 7 chapters of this.
I really believe that there are no exceptions. This is a law. This is science. This is a fact. It's not like for some and not for others. And so if you were up until now attracting those women and saying, I always attract these women that do this, or even if you were just saying that sometimes, then I must say it again, our brains are goal achieving machines. But here's the other thing that I haven't shared yet, that's just a huge piece, is that our brains are goal achieving machines, but we're also hardwired at a cellular level to look for problems so we can survive. Our brains are hardwired to scan for problems. It's looking for a problem. So we've got these limiting beliefs. We've got a brain that's scanning for problems, because if we're hunting in the jungle for dinner and a tiger comes, we need to be on high alert. So that is there. That's science. That's not an opinion. So if we got limiting beliefs, and our brain is scanning for problems, and our mind is hardwired to reach the goals, our goal achieving machine, wow, we got a recipe for disaster or beauty. And it's the wonderful thing about humans is that we have the power to choose. So as soon as you chose your path, this is the journey, right? The journey is the fun part. It's not getting. So as soon as you chose to open a new book and get a new mentor and be willing to listen, here's the deal. I said it in the very beginning, you guys, be open-minded to hear from those that have what you want, who are further along down the path than you are, who have got what you want physically, mentally, spiritually, a little light on in their eyes, shining from their souls. If they've got more than you have and you want it, then be open. So Barb, you were open to your coach saying that. You took a look at it. You changed your thinking around it. And now you've got new evidence. It's cemented in. That one's done and dusted. What's next? Because there'll be more.
Yeah. Well, and I think you got to catch yourself when you're having the thought. Dave and I wore a little rubber band.
Yeah.
And every time we had the negative thought, and I got that from the 1 Minute Millionaire book.
Yeah.
Every time I had the negative thought, I would snap it.
Yeah.
I thought my skin was going to break. Like it was.
Yes. It's a lot. We have a lot.
Realize how many negative thoughts you have a day.
Yes.
You got to stop yourself from having.
I will share in closing, if you want to wrap this. I mean, I got nowhere to go, but I'll share with you. It's because, so one of the things I teach, and I've done this for a long time, and it all leads to where we are today, right? And there's going to be more learning. I'm in that excited phase right now because I got a new tool. And I'm like, let's do this. I got a new tool and I love that, right? I know that the journey is not over. I mean, it's not over till it's over, and I hope it's not over. But I'll tell you one of the things that about 8 years ago, I thought, if we have to change our thoughts to change our lives, and I'm not aware of my thoughts, how am I going to change them? I'm hooked. How am I going to change them? I'm hooked.
Yeah.
If I'm not aware of them, how am I going to change them? I'm hooked. I remember where I was sitting when I had that thought. And here's a little trick. I'm going to show you guys a little hack that you can do. It's similar to the band, but still with the band, you still have to be aware of the thought, or you're not going to be doing. You're going to get to the end of the day and you won't have snapped once, and you'll be like, either I'm thinking perfect thoughts or I didn't notice them. And you know you're not thinking perfect thoughts because nobody ever is, and you probably don't have exactly what you want in life. So that means the band doesn't work for everybody unless you can catch your thoughts. So if you're at the beginning of this journey where I was several years ago, where I'm like, I'm hooked, never going to get here because I can't catch the thoughts. Here's a hack. You just need these two. I keep things simple, friends. This and this. And then you just draw a line down the middle of the page like this. And then above the one column, you write the word feeling. And then on the other side, you write the word thought. Not complicated. Everyone can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. And you carry these around with you. And you set a timer on your phone for every 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 2 hours, 30 seconds, whatever you think you need. And the timer on your phone is going to go off and it's going to say, how do you feel? And you're going to stop if you can where you are. And you're going to have this beside you because you're going to make it like your Bible. You're going to take it everywhere with you. How do you feel? And you're going to say, oh, I'm supposed to ask myself how I feel now. Okay, how do I feel? Oh, I feel anxiety. I feel anxious. Then you stop and you put your detective hat on and you ask yourself, you close your eyes, you go in your mind's eye and you ask, what was I thinking last that made me feel this way? And you might not be able to catch it because it might have started yesterday and you might not have known. But if you set the timer on your phone, you're going to get good at this really fast. Oh, I just paid the bills and didn't have any money left over for groceries. Now you've got a thought. I don't have enough money. There's never enough. Then you put that thought. Now you take that thought and you say, does that thought feel good? Well, you already know it doesn't because it made you anxious. So what's the new thought? There's always enough for me. Everything always works out. There's enough money. Money comes to me. Abundance flows to me, whatever you want to say. And then you grab some evidence to back that. Have I always been okay? Yes. I've always been okay. Okay, now you have some evidence to back the new thought. And then you go along your merry way, creating more negative thoughts until the timer goes off. And then you do that again. And you get really good at catching your thoughts like that. This is one of the best tools that has ever helped me.
How am I feeling? How am I feeling? That is so good. Like, we should all be checking in on that every single day.
Oh, my throat's tight. I have a migraine. Oh, you know what my daughter said to me the other day? She said, I know I'm not doing okay because I can see my fingernail marks in my palm, Mom.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So do you got diarrhea? Are you got a tummy ache? Do you got a headache? Are your pits dripping more than they should be? Is your chest going? Are you biting your lip? Are you biting your nails? Are you twirling your hair? You know, like I do. What are you doing? And write it down. And then detective backtrack. What was I thinking? Now you're learning to find the thought because the thought came before the body told you.
Yep.
You weren't okay. And if it starts with a thought, and we have to change our thoughts to get the life we want, then we've got to learn to catch our thoughts. And the messenger is your feeling.
This is so good, Sarah. This is so good. Because if we can help people change their thoughts, we can change their life.
We can change the world.
We can change the world.
Yeah.
Thoughts are things, and thoughts stacked on top of each other create beliefs that aren't even real. Our imagination can just go crazy creating a scenario that's not even real. So the 4 agreements have helped me with this so much. Never take anything personally. I always say, am I taking this personally? You know, and never make assumptions. Sometimes I'm like, is this even really happening? Or I'm just scared they're going to do that to me. Or I used to have a boyfriend that cheated on me all the time. So, you know, when Dave and I first got married, I would have to be like, is this really true? Or like, did I marry an amazing guy that I don't have to worry about? Yeah. You know, we have to change those thought patterns. I always think of it like, we live on a country road, and I came out here earlier because it was raining and pouring, and I love rain. And then now it's sunshiny and sultry. But in the road right now, if I would go drive out of the road on this country road that goes for miles, there's no neighbors out here, I would slip into a rut. And if it keeps raining in my car and then it dries up, even when the storm is gone, my car is going to slip back into that rut. And when I first learned this, it's like our brain has thought things to be a certain way for so long. It's like ruts. Like we don't even know we're doing it. We just do it.
Yes.
And you have to stack beliefs long enough to fill in those old holes that you fall into to where there's not a rut and it's just a smooth road. And that takes at least 21 days, right? So I love this journey that you're on, Sarah. Like it's a lifelong journey.
Yes.
We have to work on this every single day, but I truly believe I would have been least likely voted to succeed. Dave and I didn't have anything that it would have taken to make it, you know, comparing ourselves to everyone else. But we passed everyone and we created so much more than any of our other friends and peers because we did this work every single day. Some of them would get swayed to a different company. Oh, they would see this shiny object over here, or they would get in the middle of all the politics or backbiting or whatever. And me and Dave were always just like, ooh, like, how does that feel? We don't want that. And we would just run from it. And now it's hard for me to even be around people, Sarah. I have millions of contacts and thousands of friends and big family, but very few people that I just like hang out with.
Yeah.
Because you've got to guard your thoughts. Thoughts are things. You will be like the people that you hang around every single day. And I'm just so fortunate to have leaders around me like you, Sarah. I thank God every single day that you came into my life. I love building this empire with you. I love traveling with you. Last week you said, of course I'm traveling to Mexico to Callie's wedding. Like we're family. You're stuck with us for life. And, you know, I feel like in this world today, a lot of people are scared to make a commitment, scared to put themselves out there, scared to take a chance on a new business, afraid to be vulnerable. And I just love the way that you and I can just come on here with no notes. I trust you entirely with everybody watching my page. And I just value you as a friend. You're such an asset to our business, your experience, your wisdom. And I'm just humbled to be on here with you. So any closing comments? We're almost to the end of our hour.
Well, I just want to thank you right back at you, Barb. You guys, this is our CEO, right? This is Barb Pitcock, down to earth, huge heart. That's the whole corporate team that you've attracted, Barb, right? That you and your children that you've raised. We're so lucky. And like Barb said, you guys, we didn't plan. We just said, yeah, let's do it. Let's go share from our hearts and see where it goes. I was excited about this new book that Robin gave me. I'm already sharing it left, and I share this stuff with anyone who will put up with listening to me. I really will. And you know what my closing thought is, just dropped into my mind twice since you asked that, is to anybody listening, you do not have to be perfect at this. Just don't quit on the journey of yourself and of getting to a place where you can know that abundance is your birthright, that you have infinite potential, and that you don't have to get it right. You just have to not give up on reaching for new tools to catch your thoughts, change your thoughts, change those limiting beliefs, back it up with evidence, focus on the positive more than the negative. Do your best to do that, and just never give up on this journey of self-development and I truly believe, and I know you do too, Barb, and you've alluded to it, that the real difference between successful people and people who don't seem to succeed is all about what we're thinking about. And that is the gift in there, that this has to come first, because you can have all the tools, all the skills, all the tech, all the fancy reels and posts, and all the hooks that are right, and all the follow-up methods, and all the automation, and all the websites, and all the ads, and all those things. But I'll tell you, if you don't have this dialed in, you will only get so far with those things before you bounce back down, and then you'll get back up. But if we put this first, then everything else will follow. And so I just really want to tell everyone, don't give up on the journey of self-discovery and self-awareness. It is the most important and powerful work we will ever, it's what we're here to do.
Absolutely. Sarah,
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I thank the Lord every day that I met you and Robin, and I've learned so much just since being around you. But today, when we decided to go live, it was just like, what if there's someone out there that's struggling with this and they don't even know that every time they start to have success, they sabotage it. Every time they have a great relationship, they screw it up. Every time they're about to get a raise at their job, they don't. And I just think a lot of people don't even know that they are their worst enemy. It's that inner self, that inner child in there wants the joy, wants the love, wants to run and play and have all the freedom that you had before. As a little child, you started getting all these self-sabotaging beliefs planted. And some of you don't even know when they happened, but you can rewire that brain. And that's what we are going to do. There, she's got the notebook. Rewire the brain. And I can't wait to bring so much coaching and training on this to our leadership team in our company. But for those of you that are not in our company, I wanted to just bring this publicly because it's too good to keep it a secret. And Sarah Lovely is too lovely to not share with the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for the warehouse in Canada. Woo!
Oh, it was amazing. Today, that's what we should be going live about. We should be maximizing on the announcement in our business, and that, you know, we met a year ago. You've always waited for your products to come from America. It took too long. It cost all the money, the tariffs, the time. And Sarah said, what do we have to do to get a warehouse in Canada? And we set that goal. And
everybody, and Barb and Dave and the corporate team said, we're going to make it happen sooner for you. You guys always said it would happen. We never wondered if it would happen, but it wasn't going to happen for a little bit down the road, right? And then you saw the Canadians championing the conversation like troopers. So if you're watching this and you're in our company and you're a Canadian and you're still here,
high five to you. What about all the people that are watching that we don't even know that live in Canada?
Yes.
And they're like, what is going on in Canada? We didn't even talk about that. But any of you in Canada or that know someone in Canada, we just took the first ever Frequency on Nutrition to the Canadian soil, put it in a warehouse, and it's shipping from there. My husband's at Niagara Falls right now. He's sending me pictures.
Yes.
The falls and the bugs. And I'm home getting ready for a wedding. I can't think anything except my daughter's getting married in a couple weeks. I can't be at Niagara Falls today, right? But look at us. Here we are working.
Sarah. It's a perfect time for anyone to look at Frequency. It's a perfect time, whatever country you're in. But I'll tell you, if you've been watching from a distance in Canada and being like, well, it ships from the US, it's expensive, it's slow. If it's been holding you back, it's not anymore.
Sarah, you had a great attitude even when there was an excuse to not get in Canada. Like even when like the election first happened and there was like such a you know what storm happening, you were like, oh, it's not going to bother us. Our people are sticky. They're never going anywhere. And you know, some maybe might have worried a little bit, but just like that, your leadership skills, everybody stuck. And that's why we made this investment and came to Canada, because we see the greatness in the people there. And next month we're going to be doing it in Amsterdam. So, you know,
it's very exciting. And I'm so glad that we, like you guys, Barb and I talked about like, well, should we talk about business or the Warehouse Canada and like mindset? What should we do? And we both said, let's hit them with mindset, because like Barb said in the beginning, if there's somebody watching this that needed to hear any of this for a dash of hope, then that's what Barb and I wanted to deliver today. So that's what we did. And it was sure fun. Thank you for having me.
Sarah, I got to ask you one last question.
Yes.
Where do you see this company going in Canada now that we have the warehouse there?
Oh, you know what? I feel like I woke up this morning. I put my post up this morning. I let it just, the feelings of it happening yesterday. I'm like, this is really, I could feel this is really big. And I could also feel that I wasn't fully aware of how big. Do you know when you have those feelings where you're like, this is big, but I was aware enough to know you need to sleep on this because this is bigger than you think. This is better, bigger, more than you think. And like, I just had a slice of it. And so sure enough, I woke up this morning and I can tell you, I've had messages from some very top leaders and other companies messaging me, congratulating us on that, saying, wow, your corporate team really does care. I'm like, they do. I knew they did. Guess you didn't know, but I knew. And I could just feel the whoosh of even bigger. And I bet you I still don't know the magnitude of what this is going to do. I feel like we technically launched in February, you guys, but I feel like Canada is right about to just rocket right now. And taking a look right now, you would have got to miss some really big potholes in the road, right? Yeah. And they've been, like Barb did that analogy, right? That those ruts have been smoothed over by the Pitcocks and the corporate staff and the Canadian leaders. And it is now like, it is just going to be some smooth, fast sailing. I can feel it. It's hard to describe.
I'm thinking about the future in Canada, and I told Dave, like, we need a lake home there because you guys have it's the most beautiful country. Like, it is so beautiful. But, you know, there are a lot of people watching that have dreams and goals, and they were living in fear and doubt or suffering or anxiety or stress or all the things. Just take everything that Sarah said, take your notes, sit down, and start to be aware of your feelings. And I want you to write down what you want to happen. Write down what you want to happen. And this is what Dave and I always coach people. Focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. If you don't want it, don't say it, don't think it, don't look at it, don't read it. That's why I don't watch the news. That's why I don't know anything. If someone calls and tells me something horrible that happened. And even then, I'm like, I mean, if what is happening out there doesn't have anything to do with where you're at or where you want to be, no, not even where you're at, where you want to be, don't give it any power.
Never, ever, ever.
Ever, ever, ever.
And Wallace D. Wattles in The Science of Getting Rich says it over and over. Never, I don't know how he says it, but it's this. Never, ever, ever focus on what you don't want. Just don't. Here's some tools, because we're all going to do that because we human. Here's some tools to help you never, ever focus on what you don't want and pivot it.
I love it.
Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Love you, Barb.
Any of you that watch this, please give Sarah some love. Drop in the comments your takeaway from today's live. If you don't know how to do this on a daily basis, reach out. Yeah. We can help you become an MVP. We can get you the book. We can get you in a group, in a culture, in a community. Every single one of you can design a life that you want, but you have to first think it, then believe it, and take massive and immediate action. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Barb.
See you soon.
Bye. Love you.
Bye, guys.